SrSpookfest here. Just first real live chat, just hanging out, chatting, talking paranormal of this year. 2026, we'll talk about what happened last year, what I caught. I want to hear some of your stories. Hi, Susan. Hi, Hun. Die 420 Witch. Central Paranormal. She is awesome. Check her channel out if you haven't. Chemical knee rooms. Still no power, but I heard they're working on the lines on the road. Nice, dude. That's awesome. Good to hear. So yeah, Mike's been without power. Poor Mike. Let's talk about some paranormal stuff. There's been a lot going on with like craziness and debunkers and paranormal community, but let's just talk paranormal stories, your experiences, my experiences. This past year was pretty crazy. I got three or four things that I really can't explain. Hopefully, you guys will tell me some stories, and definitely the weirder ones. Some I think I can explain, some I don't think I can, but especially disembodied footsteps, Fort Monroe, Virginia, big old fort from like 17, 1800s. That the footsteps walking up to me were ridiculous. If you haven't seen that, check that one out. Um, Lately, I haven't been able to go out. It's just been cold. I'm usually busy with kids and the freezing weather lately. I hope everybody's doing good, staying safe from the storm. Nose for cat too. Hello. Going into lurk mode, keeping it running helps with the numbers. Thank you. Hit the thumbs up. Yeah, I don't say that enough. But I figured we'd just chat. I'd tell some of my original paranormal stories again. Um, and yeah, talk about a few others that I've been looking back at because I'm starting to review some of my past investigations, like live or do it like video myself reviewing it, because I've caught a few things and stuff that I've realized maybe this wasn't that, something fell from a ceiling, or I've heard Michael's, yeah, I've heard a lot of people's different tales. And thank you, Susan, you're awesome. Central Mass. um, Yeah, the first thing that happened to me, I was probably like 16, and we all decided to go to an abandoned asylum in Massachusetts, Bridgewater Triangle area. Mystic Mima, hello. So, like seven of us went in. The fence was knocked over, so we just walked right in. Went in through a bottom window, went through the basement. We were there for 2 hours. Not too much happened. We knew security was there and you shouldn't have gone in there. We were being bad kids. It was near Halloween. And when we were all leaving, we're all at this big window looking out, and you could see some grass, and there's a building across the way. And all of a sudden, somebody's standing outside the window. The girls next to me screamed, looked like maybe 4 feet tall, full on shadow figure, like a kid wearing a hat. And my friend goes, "Oh shit!" I like put my hands up for a second, thinking security got us or something. Then we just saw it run through the field, across the way into a brick wall in the building across the way. People started jumping out the window. We all ran over looking for the shadow dude, and it was probably a kid because it seemed shorter. That's just my guess. And that old asylum used to be army encampment place, and then it was a school for mentally disabled kids and stuff. There was thousands of people in there. Probably 2-3 miles of tunnels underground. So after that, my view on the paranormal altogether had changed immediately, because I know what we saw. Other people reacting, saying the same thing, going to look for a kid. Well, it was just a black shadow. You could kind of see through it. Very hard to explain. Uh, yeah, have a good one, Mike. I know you got to save your phone battery. Hopefully the power comes back on for you soon, dude. Uh, Busy chat day. Yeah, I've went into a few. I was looking at and doing a few more things on research on the pyramid stuff and weird UFO landings. They are talking about a UFO that was found in Greenland that's just sitting in like an ice cap. That's a really cool one that I've been looking into. Is it true? I don't know. But it's an interesting story. They're talking about Greenland. And yeah, that shadow person, my first experience of truly seeing the paranormal. I also think that's an important part of doing investigating. I miss it because it's cold out and crappy, and I just haven't really had time to get out and do it. I really am itching to go out and investigate again. But I do think with the paranormal, when it's like that type of an experience where you're with other people and it's not with equipment or anything, it's just your eyes. I've had that happen maybe 6 or 7 times on camera, and it's not anything with equipment or anything like that. Those are the best pieces of evidence when you're seeing and hearing something happening and you can't explain it. And if you're lucky enough to catch it on camera, which it's been almost 7 years I've been doing this, and altogether I might have 10 that I really can't explain, and I hope that I could catch more. It's been hard to get out and investigate. I gotta get back out, but I have been looking at museums and free places to go from the 1800s where they have all original interior, like it's fully decorated like it was back in the day. And some of the places are supposedly haunted, so I was thinking of going and just doing a tour of these old museum houses. Some really cool ones. I've done one before, and it was really interesting. Like everything set up from 1800s, 1700s. Really cool stuff. If anybody wants to put in a small paranormal experience, you can, and I just like to hear the stories. My my last few investigations, I went to this beach, and I will say I'm not sure about this one, but it's a shadow that goes past my flashlight. And I kept watching it, and it happened 3 times. I only noticed it once while I was doing the investigation. But this legend goes that on that beach there is Willoughby Spit Ghost, and he walks the beach and warns people of storms coming in, and it might be an old sailor that sank on an old ship that was going out there, and in a storm sank, and he's walking the beach looking for a ship or his crew or something like that. And the fact I got shadows on the beach, and I did have my flashlight out on the ground out in front of me, my phone out in front of me, and I'm just filming out in front of me. And I didn't see anything go past the flashlight, it's just weird shadows going past. Maybe something blew past the flashlight, maybe a crab crawled past it, but I'm not sure on that one. So those ones I'm not sure on, but it's still an interesting thing to happen while you're doing an investigation, and there's legends of people seeing shadow figures on the beach. A couple other ones that had happened this past year. I did get to go back up to Bridgewater Triangle, and me and my sister-in-law went out to Pearl French rocking chair. That was a really interesting one. I had, I'll grab it. I had this under the rocking chair just for basic EMF meter. These are just to see if there's any EMF in the area, and see it goes off from your phone. Any EMF will set them off. So it's for like finding studs. I mean wires in the walls and stuff. So this was under the rocking chair, and I had it pinched on the ground and underneath the part of the leg of the rocking chair so it wouldn't move. Well, at one point I'm filming and I walk over, and the silly app, we had an app running, and it said something silly like demon, or there were demons here. Say, I forget what it said, but the this lit up and slid backwards, and I even watched it slide backwards maybe like 2 inches or maybe a little more, and I was like, whoa. Because I put that under there so it wouldn't move, and then it moved. It's like slid backwards. It didn't fall over. It just went like this. And I was like, there's no way wind did that or anything like that. So the Pearl French rocking chair, I did put up another video of it. And there's like a blue orb that goes by. I don't know if that's just reflection. That's probably just a reflection of my flashlight. We just noticed it when we were reviewing it. and it just went past in a weird way, and it was big enough where it was a big blue orb, and there were reports of seeing a blue orb, seeing that rocking chair. It's like a little concrete rocking chair for Pearl French. She was like a little 4 year old girl, and people have seen it rocking, they say, or orbs over it, or even the little girl. We had a very interesting night that night. Let me read this. Mystic Mima, when I was 14, I saw my friend Lori and I in the bathroom of my home. She just disappeared. Found out a couple of hours later she died the night before. See, those are the kind of things that, wow, that's incredible, Mystic Mima. See, those are one of those experiences where you're not just having a one-off experience. It's something so paranormal. It's a oddity that will happen to you. It's happened to so many people. I even say some of the most skeptical people still have that one-time experience. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, I have fun talking about these things. I mean, uh, these past few I'm talking about just this past year. The disembodied footsteps was probably my number one thing I caught this past year. But I'm hoping to catch more, obviously. I don't know. A lot of these could just be debunked. It could be pareidolia, it could be an animal. There's like so many reasons that it could be, but experiencing it at the time and then it kind of validating some of the reports of these historical places, because usually I'm going back to a historical place, or Fort Monroe's really old. Before it was even a big stone fort, it was a wooden fort. That would be like 16, 1700s. So that place has a ton of history. Spectral Whispers, yes, the fuck we did. I think one of my favorite investigations, even though we didn't stay, was the witching tree. I forget the name of the family. I think it was Perkins or something like that. But that family was supposedly into witchcraft, so they got hung by the tree. The tree curls down towards the ground, as in pointing they went to hell, or pointing towards the ground, and that's the hanging tree. And there was like legends, of those people, that whole family doing crazy witchcraft things and like magic, dark magic. So they were hung at this tree, and the witching tree is like cursed. That's why it's bent over. Um, when we were trying to film, and I set up a few things, and we were about to do an investigation, lightning was striking like half mile, not even from us. Spectral Whispers, that's my sister-in-law. She actually caught like great bolts of lightning. And I put it up. You could check those ones out. It started raining. We had to run. But that spot I definitely want to get back to, up in Bridgewater Triangle area. Massachusetts, man, that Bridgewater Triangle is my favorite. But around here it has some crazy history too. Yes, the fuck we did. My mom had a similar experience with my sister. Hi, Raven. Good to see you. Hey, Paul. Uh, Watching from work. That's good, dude. Thank you. Opened her mouth to speak. This is Mystic Mima. She opened her mouth to speak and vanished. I just blew it off as my mind wandering. Yeah, see, an experience like that, that's like insane if it was right in front of you. Like, same thing with Shadow Kid in front of me, maybe 10 feet away, not even. Yeah, I would say 10 feet. And the girl next to me screaming, and two of my buddies, one of my friends was jumping out the window, so he was like this and said he didn't see anyone. So he was like maybe 2 feet away. He said he didn't see anyone. Everybody else, so 6 people behind him, all saw the kid run off. We thought he jumped out and was chasing the kid. We didn't know what he was doing. He jumped up and ran out of the building, and I jumped up, and then my friend Adam came out and was like, let's go see if that kid just ran across, because it seemed like a real kid. First shadow person. I've had other shadow figures. Fort Monroe again was another time. The beach, Willoughby Spit right over here, with the shadow man that walks the beach. So I've seen shadow figures, and believe I've caught one, but that still, I gotta think maybe something blew past the flashlight on the ground. It was just like a leaf or a piece of grass, or you know what I mean? Like that one's really hard to say. It does look weird, but so that's, I don't know. A lot more things happen. A lot care homes, Raven. Yeah, I've done a lot of electrical work and stuff, working in the old folks' homes all over Massachusetts. I did like 10 of them probably. All the fire alarm stuff and electrical work. There's definitely activity in those places. Yeah, you found out she passed away at Mystic Mule afterwards, and seeing like a relative. I have a similar story. Me and my sister sitting in my parents' living room heard, "Hey, Nikki, come here." That's my sister, and I went, looked at her, and she goes, "Who is that?" And my mom wasn't even home. Somebody upstairs said, "Hey, Nikki, come here," and we both freaked out. Right away, realizing it was probably our grandmother. She had always told us she would let us know that she was around. When we went and looked upstairs, my mom's not upstairs. She's pulling in the driveway, and we're both just sitting there like, "Okay, hi, we heard you, thank you," and like having an experience with another person like that is always like, it's happened to me a couple times, and it's always more exciting because you're not alone, and that way you're not so trapped in people disbelieving you, which is most people. I mean, a lot of the stuff on YouTube now, look at debunking. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just masked. People can do stuff with computers and fake stuff, string. People do all sorts of crazy stuff. I don't think you have to do that. Like, trying to fake is not worth it. Just go out, try and find something. If something happens, put it out there and let people know and see what they say. Because some of this stuff could be natural, and even sometimes natural things may be a paranormal happening. You don't know. But like these things, even REM pod, Spirit Box, I think maybe 2 times I've had it really be like, okay, that was weird. So S Box, I've done S Box over on this beach, and with the story of the Willoughby Spit Shadow Man, his ship sank and people passed away, and he roams the beach looking for a ship. Well, when I was doing an S Box, I always do it on AM stations, so less interference. Some radio stations can still come through, but when I was sitting there, I was like, "So what happened to you, and why are you walking the beach?" It did come through and say sink or ship and sink, and I was like, "All right, that's impressive," because that goes along with the story. Could just be luck, but still very interesting. Another time years ago, I've had "Hey Ryan" when I was asking if it could say my name. So think it was alive, and I was just sitting out in the woods, Bridgewater Triangle, Massachusetts. "Can you say my name, or can you tell me your name?" And it says, "Hey Ryan," and it's pretty clear. And it was one of the first times I used that S box. I didn't know really what I was doing. That was the beginning of me trying paranormal investigation, and doing it in an area like that. I mean, I grew up with the stories. I had experiences before filming anything. I had spook lights. I've seen blue, I've seen yellow. Looks like baseball just floating through the woods. A lot of people say that's like ball lightning. A lot of these don't look like ball lightning at all. Like they're just orbs, and they can float through and go into between trees, raise up, go down, and it doesn't seem like lightning to me from what I've witnessed. Diaper days, they are over for now. Who loves bass and french fries now? Yeah, crawling baby, he's going nuts. Lately, he's been standing up. He can crawl up on our bed, and he's getting daring. He's starting to stand up. 10 months. I might have finally figured out the shadow. Oh, this is Octopus with No Friends. What's up, man? How you doing? I might have finally figured out the shadow outside my window. It may have been one of the Sasquatch that I interacted with only a couple times, but would be a third if connected. Jeez, are you serious? Where do you live, Octopus with No Friends? You got a Bigfoot near your house? Yeah, he's almost a year. We'll have to do something fun for the newborns. 1 year, not a newborn no more. Octopus with no friends, but it may well have not been a Sasquatch. Something more spectral. It gave me very scared, freaked out. So there's shadow outside your window sometimes, and you've caught it for the third time. Middle of the night, so that's fair. It could be an animal, but I don't know. You're talking big. If it's Sasquatch size, dude, I'd be a little nervous too. Put something outside your window and let's see if you can get footprints. Try it. Yeah, we gotta go up and visit Massachusetts, and we could do another investigation. Visit everybody, all the family. Yeah, 10 months already. It went by fast. He's got like 3 or 4 teeth. Oh no, he's got five. He's got two little bottoms, three on top now. You're in southern Mass. Well, lots of woods and rivers. Yeah, I mean, lots of reports of Bigfoot and other weird creatures in Massachusetts. Big black dogs, big black cats, like demon dogs, and I've even think I've seen a thunderbird. My fiance also has. Type 420 witch. 420, that's smart. My daughter's in 9 months and 20 days apart. Mystic Meemaw. Second floor window, brother. Yeah, so that is freaky, dude. I don't know. Yeah, put up a trap camera. Yeah, put a trap camera out and see if you catch anything, or just even your phone and let it film for a night at the window. Maybe you can catch it. If you catch a shadow figure, let me know. Definitely. Oh, Pomp's got a bunch of 92, 94, 96, 98. So, Pomp, you have 4 kids? That's awesome. I didn't even know that. I didn't, congratulations. So, they're all older, probably out of the house. I'm dying to see roping. Someday I will figure out egg of none goal, one goal. I'm not sure what roping is. Damn me, my, you didn't wait around. Euros World Cup. Yeah, I see. My youngest gets married in 3 weeks. Congratulations. I'm getting married next Halloween. Oh, rope and modern pterosaurus with pterodactyls. Thunderbirds, yeah. I was at my grandmother's house in East Bridgewater, and I saw a huge shadow coming across the lawn. I looked up, and it was probably like a 15, 20 foot wingspan of a huge bird. Uh, Never saw it again. Nothing like that. I've never seen a bird that big. I freaked out. My grandmother was like, "What did you see?" And I ran in the house and was like freaking out. I think I was like 10. My fiance actually seen one in Middleborough in her backyard. She said it flew through the trees and like broke branches and stuff, like 10, 15 foot wingspan, like giant bird. Now that's one of the legends from Wampanoags, Native Americans up in Bridgewater Triangle area of thunderbirds, like pterodactyl type creatures. But the one I saw did have feathers. I'm pretty sure. So I think she said that one she saw had feathers too. I've seen a lot of weird stuff. I've seen spook lights. I've seen shadow figures. Now, without those experiences, I don't think I would have ever gone out and started investigating. But yeah, I'm really itching to go out and investigate. I can't wait to, but probably not for a while. It's been freezing. Thunderbirds are crazy. That's a crazy legend. I love those. And since I was pretty sure I seen one, I don't think it was like an albatross or anything. It didn't really look like that, which is a huge bird, but it definitely wasn't like a wild turkey. We grew up seeing those all the time, and they only fly like a little bit. But that some things in like, especially Rainham, Dog Track, there's UFO sightings. I've seen weird lights in the sky up there. I've seen them down here more than once. Those weird drones that were going around, fucking New Jersey drones or whatever, those were around here. I've seen at least 3 or 4 of those. Seen some weird lights when I did a live chat on the beach like 2 months ago. Over here, we're sitting above the bridge and they didn't really move. So I was wondering, and then they started flying away. But my sister in law said they're not on flight radar, so there are 2 anomalies. Just unidentified flying objects. Doesn't mean they're UFOs, but still interesting to see something like that, and I did catch that on camera. I've had one other one out in front of the house that I do think might have just been a rocket launch, but it wasn't actually um, reported. Usually, you can find out if they're doing a rocket launch from like the Navy base and the military, or even if one's going Starlink and all those. There wasn't one launched that night that I caught the footage of. Like, it looks like a big triangle with like a white light flying through, and then it just disappeared. Now it does kind of look like a rocket launch, but I looked up from SpaceX, NASA, no launches. There shouldn't have been at that time, so who knows what that one was. UAP. Octopus with no friends. I've had more than a few definite paranormal experiences. Yeah, undeniable ones are when they just pop. Like, that's why I still like to use some of this equipment and stuff, like the REM pod and stuff. I do think once in a while you can get communications, especially with like REM pod. If it's like countdown, can you make the REM pod go off? You wait a few minutes and try it again, and it keeps like answering each time you're asking a question. I've had it go off like 8 or 9 times doing that, and even counting. Can you make it go off on the count of 5, or can you make it go off on the count of 1, 2, 3, go, and it would go off. So then that starts to get a little more interesting, but still a lot of radio waves, like EMF, different things can affect it. Wind can affect that. So you got to be really careful using this equipment. It's not like this is just to find electricity, or if you got a high EMF field, or maybe a wire in the wall. If it starts going off and you're in the middle of nowhere and it's not near anything, that's just a high EMF area. Maybe you are getting some radio waves or EMF waves coming in from somewhere, or even maybe the Earth's natural EMFs. I don't know. So you can use equipment still, I say, and sometimes it even surprises you and works better than you'll think. But a lot of it really depends. I like when things like disembodied footsteps came walking up to me at Fort Monroe here in Virginia. I audibly heard that. I thought somebody was walking up, and there was nobody around. So then I jump up to what the hell and walk around and go look at the street both ways. Nobody around. There's no reason for that. You can't explain something like that. You just have to, okay, chalk that up to you just got really lucky. Reports of banging on windows, phantom footsteps, especially in that area. I was at quarters 1 where Abraham Lincoln stayed. And I can't remember her name, but there's a female ghost there. But some people did point out it sounded like boots, like marching boots. So probably one of the guys that was in the military there, maybe a gunner, one of the cannon station guys. The other thing I want to investigate over there at Fort Monroe, again, because I've investigated a couple times, is D. Russey Battery, which is a big cannon station where cannons popped out and look over the ocean and the bay. And that cannon, they were doing testing. I think it was 11 guys. The barrel breached, a 300-pound cannonball exploded and breached, and all those guys passed away. I believe the general or the man running that cannon station actually got just his legs cut off, and then was still trying to help people with his legs going. So that's a crazy story and probably a haunted area. That's another thing. In paranormal, I do believe in tragic historical sites and especially battlefields. Um, I think those would be more likely than even like cemeteries or anything to be haunted. Historical battlefields and spots where like tragedy happened or even war. Spectral whispers. Yes, Pomp. Congratulations, good for them both. So this is Spectral Whispers, my sister-in-law. I saw a shadow figure walking up the stairs towards a whole group of us. Lights were on, by the way. Then it came running, flying up the stairs, and held me against the wall. That's probably one of the scariest ones I've heard, and you've told me that before. And I kind of want to check out where you went, just because I want to capture stuff, and yeah, I'm not too scared of paranormal, but if it gets physically like that, that gets scary. I've only ever been pinched once, and that happened right outside here. And I really thought my fiance Alicia came up and pinched me. We were doing Estes method, so I had my eyes covered and headphones in. So it was not. I thought she was messing with me and pinched me. For a bit, I even thought maybe something fell on me or I got bit by a bug or something. There was nothing. There was no reason for that. So, those are the scariest ones. What could be more crazy than Sasquatch? That's a good question. Uh, Sasquatch, an alien maybe is a little more crazy than Sasquatch. I don't know. Uh, Dogman, Wolfman, you got a werewolf outside? No, I don't know. Would a werewolf be jumping up, looking in your second floor window? Uh, yeah, that's one of the scariest ones she's told me, and I've had some crazy experiences with her at her house. We did. This was a spirit box we did years ago. What? Just sitting there waiting, and my son was like 2 or 3 years old. Came and we were doing the spirit box. He was sleeping, but he woke up and walked out, and we heard "Hey, bud," and it sounded just like Alicia's dad, and we all went, "Whoa!" And he used to. That's what he would say to him all the time was "Hey, bud." So we were all pretty shocked on that one. It sounded like him and everything. Um, Very few times those spirit box work, or it's it's luck of the draw. If most of the time it's radio stations talking, but like I said, if you get, "Hey, can you say my name?" and then it says, "Hey, Ryan," like I've had, which I think I went a little bit white when that one happened, and I was like just shocked. But some equipment you can use and it will help you move along your investigation, but what you're really looking for is those. Um, there's one in Iowa. I was just walking through. I just got into an abandoned farmhouse. Looking through, I opened the closet. I look through. There's two glowing eyes. I didn't see them in person. Um, Reviewed it. I didn't even notice at the time at all. Reviewed it and found, and I've even went back. It's just a wall, the back wall of the closet. There's nothing shiny there. There was no nails. There's nothing there that would be reflecting a double reflection. So I don't know what that one was. That's a major one I can't figure out. I've shown it a few times, but when things like that happen, Mystic Mima, you got pushed one time. I was at work. That's interesting. I wonder, I mean, where do you work and has anyone passed away there, or was the land, you know, historically, was it built on a graveyard? Awesome and scary. So, hi, Nikki. Why can't? Okay, she said hello. I didn't see it. Octopus with no friends. It was a prolonged, deep roar that shook our sternums and chest. Two flashlights and less than 50 feet away, we all backed off. Yellow eye shine from a huge black shadow despite the lights. That's scary. I probably would immediately think a bear, but then again, I do believe it was Sasquatch. That's amazing. I think one time we had, what was an owl, but it doesn't sound like a regular owl. It actually sounds like a monkey. Bridgewater Triangle, so up in Mass. And we were out at these old power lines behind, it's reportedly haunted. People have said they've seen pugwudgies, which are little gremlin-like creatures and tricksters. But what we heard that night, Spectre Whispers was there, did sound like a monkey out like 50, maybe 100 feet away, maybe even in a tree. Right away I said owl, but it does sound so weird. It sounds like a monkey. Um, I've had things also where I've run into real animals in the woods where, like, I've run into a moose up in Maine on top of a mountain and had to run away. That sometimes running into animals is more scary than ghosts or anything. Sasquatch would probably not be good to run into. Octopus, that's your frightening. Yeah, I wouldn't like to run into a Bigfoot if Sasquatch is real and they're not nice like Harry and the Hendersons. Later, Houghton Mansion, North Adams, Mass. I've looked up the Houghton Mansion. Yeah, I've heard legends of it. I didn't know it was there. That's so crazy, Spectre Whispers. I'd love to go that one. And we got to go back to the Witching Tree once weather warms up and we're up that way. Alright, I got pushed in 99 at work. Yep, I read that. Bye all. Stay blessed. The most scared you were in recent years? I think the most scared I was in recent years was probably the footsteps coming up to me. Either that one or I don't know, because I didn't see the eye shine in the. Oh, I got the most scared when I saw the eye shine in the farmhouse in Iowa. After I saw that in the video, I was really scared. I still went back and checked it out and tried to figure that out, but I never did. What's up, everybody? Leanne the Platypus. Hello, Parazone. Good to see you. I don't believe in demons personally. I know people do, but I don't. I don't think demons pop up and jump around and scratch people all over the place. It's really rare. That's like, what is it? Portal to hell. Everybody says there's portals to hell all over the place, but I don't think there's portals to hell all over the place. It gets a little crazy with the demons and skinwalkers jumping out at people and stuff. Now, I do believe in cryptids, especially like ocean, lake monsters, even Bigfoot. I believe in a lot of things, Thunderbirds, because I've had weird experiences. But the ones like Mothman, that one I really believe, just going to the museum and reading all the testimonies, all the things that happened, Silver Bridge collapse, and some people say that's all just completely fake and made up, but there wouldn't be so many reports from, I think it's like 60 people reported seeing it or something like that crazy. There's police reports of it, and yeah, that's a crazy one. Mothman's one of my favorites. And then, yeah, they make an owl noise, but it sounds like bing, big. It sounds big, real big. Yeah, I'm pretty freaked out by Sasquatch. Remember when I used to sneeze and change the channel or predict songs? Nikki, yes I do. So she would sit and the TV would be fine for, an hour. You were just watching TV, she'd sneeze and it would change channels. That's also why my sister is Nikki in here. She actually got rid of her Ouija board because of experiences up in the Bridgewater Triangle. She stopped doing any of this type of stuff. She doesn't like it. Oh, then there was the time I got stabbed on death row, Eastern State Penitentiary, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. See, I've always wanted to go there, but I've never. I can't, like, you get a stabbing pain from a. Obviously, you didn't really get stabbed. But, like, yeah, I get it. That's insane. I love those kind of stories. The personal stories when it's somebody you know and things like this happen, and it's a lot of the time you're alone, or it's just so unbelievable people don't take your word for it. It's hard to even try and film this and do this, and even if you have an experience, people still don't believe you, which is okay, because I usually know when I capture some real paranormal activity. Usually it doesn't have anything to do with the equipment or anything like that. It's always been, my major ones have been personally seeing it or hearing it or like feeling it. Hi Pinky, Pinky Arts and Music. Thank you. She put everyone's name. Ryan, do you believe that there could be portals that the cryptids could travel in our world to theirs world, vice versa? I believe in a lot of weird things. Like in Earth theory, I do believe in some of that. Now, is there caverns and cave systems that we probably don't explore or know about? Possibly. I don't think there's gates to hell. Maybe in very rare spots, like I think that'd be overseas somewhere where there might be like a tunnel all the way down deep into like hellish territory. But I think things are more interconnected than we also think. I think aliens maybe do know about Bigfoot, and if Bigfoot knows about them, and maybe they do use underground systems. I do love legends of UFO underground. What is it? The Denver airport. There's underground secret things under there and alien bases under there. I love those theories too. They're fun. Not that I like know that that's real or anything, but we have detected oceans inside the Earth, which is a new thing that we've like been able to scan the Earth a little bit better. That's what they were using to scan under the pyramids, and that's how we figured out there's tunnels and like tubes going down and rooms and maybe even labyrinths under the tunnel under the Great Pyramid. That kind of stuff is pretty crazy. What's up? 19 people. Woohoo. What's going on, everybody? Let's see. Anybody else have more paranormal stories? Yeah, that's a good point. Lean heavily on the Judeo Christian ideology of like paranormal investigating, getting exorcists involved and stuff like that is really interesting road too. I actually watching, I believe it was, yeah, Paranormal Monkey podcast, and he had an exorcist on, and a lot of good questions went up, and he just answered honestly, and he's just an exorcist, so he just told his story of it. I think he even had a book and stuff, which was really cool to see, just to be able to ask an exorcist questions. I mean, demonologists, exorcists, those like you really have to get into it deep to get your degree to be able to do that kind of stuff. Um, I mean, I research a lot, but I don't I don't research that far. I'll do history of a place maybe even after I go there because I want to go experience something and the legend, oh, there's the lady in white here, or there was shadow figures on this part of the building, an old historic spot. Maybe there was a battle there. Maybe I do like outside areas more. I got to get to some more buildings, obviously, when it's cold, but the only ones around here, I wouldn't set up equipment or anything. I think I'd just do a walkthrough and slowly walk through. Maybe not even really ask any questions, just see if I go through one of these original old homes from 1700s here in Virginia, that maybe something will show up. You never know. Maybe I will ask a question or two, just like hello, anybody around, and see if anything happens. Mystic in the common, most people don't believe. However, I'm a witch. Yes, spectral whispers. I am a wizard. I have pagan beliefs. I have all sorts of weird beliefs. Mine are all over the place. Mystic, it's okay to common most people, but I believe, however, I'm a witch. We have people on nice planes, though. Sorry, helicopters. The big military base is right over there, so. Octopus with no friends. I sure do, Pinky. You've got magical spirits and little people in the woods. According to your native peoples, don't you? Same thing as cryptids, really. There's those little people legends are some of my favorites too. Pugwudgies for one, the Dover Demon, all those like weird alien ones. Fairies and Fae folk is huge. What Ireland, Norway, Sweden, all like that whole like United Kingdom, everywhere. England, over there, Ireland's big for little people. Some people even leave out like alcohol and bread for the little people, the Fae folk, which is probably a good idea, just in case they are running around. Susan is Wiccan and adds her own little twists as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what I am. I live on a haunted house on a haunted farm. That's fun, Leanne, the platypus. Yeah, I would love to go to a haunted farm. I've investigated, well, technically two, because the abandoned 1786 house was a farm up in Bridgewater Triangle. And I've gone in there a couple times. I've had a few things happen. Um, a couple of the things I do think the ceiling fell and made a bang and I ran away. But I've seen the old farmer twice. Was it full body apparition, like you could see clothes and everything? Um, or a shadow figure? Yeah, the airplanes around here, you can go actually to Spectral Whispers. You can go down the road and watch airplanes land and take off at the old. I think I have a video of it even. It's the old Botanical Gardens place, and you can watch airplanes land and take off in person, like right near them. It's really cool. And I see helicopters and jets like every day, so they're right over my house. Leanne, the platypus, I had something huge walk across my deck on two legs. It wasn't possible to be human. I only heard it, I couldn't see it. That's freaky. Yeah, I've had a few times scary screams in the woods. I still think it was a kid out in the woods, some guy out in the woods screaming, but the way it sounded does sound, it would resemble like Bigfoot screaming or something like that, which I pretty much knew this is probably a person screaming. But I have heard weird things out in the woods before. Um, I did a live chat, and my dad even sent me a video which sounds like a Bigfoot screaming out in the woods. Now, the one he sent me really does sound like a Bigfoot out in the woods. I think I have that on a short a few times. I think I just called it Bigfoot Scream in the Woods or something cryptid screaming in the woods. But scary screams from the woods, that one, probably a person. I've caught weird screaming in the woods. How's the weather? We got 19 inches of snow. Holy crap. No snow right now. We had maybe an inch, and we're supposed to get more here, yeah, this next weekend. It was tough to find them in Massachusetts. Oh, the Strenga in Strenga practitioners. I know you get your mediumship too or something. You were doing classes, which is really cool. I should practice Reiki. I supposedly have Reiki, but I can heat up my hands a lot. Uh, I'm just curious and crazy person, and this is a great subject. Thank you, Pinky Arts. Uh, Do you get scared or fascinated? Most of the time, I'm fascinated. I think I've run away like a couple times, but usually I don't get that scared. Mystic Mima, you've been an occultist for 25 years now. Damn. I don't even know what I am. I guess an investigator that's interested in everything because I like to look for UFOs, paranormal, anything. I mean, even with cryptids, I started believing in cryptids a little bit more once they started pulling up giant squid and giant octopus and things like that. I think it was a year or two ago we found a whale species that's never been seen before, bottlenose whale, 25 feet. So if something that big can be swimming around, or, we have no idea. We don't explore a lot of our wild areas that much. Only a couple times of sincere terror, Leanne said. Yeah, the most I've really gotten scared was probably when I saw that shadow figure, the first one when I was like 16. I think we were all in shock for a good half an hour after that. Even when we got back home, I remember just sitting there and thinking about it and talking to my friends about it, which 6 people experiencing the same thing at the same time, that's not mass hallucination or anything. Nobody took drugs or anything. We all just went into an abandoned place to have fun and go through the tunnels, and then we were going to leave. Don't think any of us actually expected to see that. I do have the old tape. Camera was dead before Shadow Figure, but it's probably 2 hours of us just going through. I have to get the high eights, transfer it over, and I'll be able to put them online sometime. I will tell my sister's Ouija board story since she was in here. And my sister Nikki was, after this, she never touched a Ouija board again. She didn't do any more investigating or like any witchcraft stuff, I don't think. Um, Her and 2 friends set up a Ouija board, some candles in a basement in the Bridgewater Triangle, right near a 38 Native American burial mound, which I don't think at the time they knew that was there. But they did the Ouija board for a little while. She had set up my skateboarding camera, that's what I called it, but it's like old high 8 tapes. And it's just filming them on the floor, doing Ouija board. And then you hear Native American drumming and beating and like even chanting and stuff. The lights kind of flicker, the girls run away, and the thing keeps going. It's recording for a little while. I gotta find that tape. And if Nikki are still here, yeah, she is. Uh, I'll read that in a second. But those girls, after that, I think her friend Angela said for months after, she had things moving in her house and heard weird noises like chanting and stuff like that. And ever since, she never touched the Ouija board or anything. 26 years here, oh, practicing, yeah. I'm polytheistic. I do hoodoo. Oh, that's cool. Nikki, that's my sister. When we lived at Center Street, it was used for a carriage stop in the B&B. I saw a ghost of an old man near the garage out in the bed, out your bedroom window. Thanks. When I was in my little room. Oh no. I remember you telling me that a long time ago. That is freaky. Yeah, because there's carriage houses like that. Is also Middleborough, where me and Alicia, her old house in Middleborough was a carriage house for Tom Thumb. If you don't know Tom Thumb, he was a little person that was like a general or like knighted even and everything. He was really famous for Barnum and Bailey Circus, and that house was definitely haunted. I even saw a shadow figure that was, I thought, one of the kids coming downstairs in the middle of the night. But I heard the stairs creak. I thought I saw a figure, and then it just disappeared. I got up and looked upstairs, went and checked the kids. They're all sleeping, nobody around. Yeah, that house I had a few experiences at, but yeah, Nikki had the worst experience for, and I still have the tape. I just have to find the footage because there's probably 100 hours of old tape we're gonna have to go through. I'm gonna have to go through, but Tom's wife after he died. Yeah. and I believe her little house is still set up behind that house in Middleborough. That's actually near, right next to the Oliver Mill, and that place is really haunted. There's Native American burial mounds. I've been there one time. I didn't get to go in, but I did the outside, and it's definitely a haunted area. You could just kind of feel it. Um, I've had a lot of experiences, weird things happening, and the great thing is a lot of them, like my first UFO experience. Nikki was there. That's my sister. She was on the beach with me. I think there was three other people there. Maybe Lindsay, Brittany, and maybe my friend Scott. And we all saw a giant orange orb, like huge, maybe 100 feet above the lake, reflecting off the lake, maybe for 30 seconds, and then it just shot off into space and disappeared. We all ran and told our parents. We were all in shock. I have had Nikki come on live and talk about that and like tell the story in her own words. And just to have somebody else validate it is always nice. And spectral whispers, bro, little 8-year-old me, hearing footsteps coming down the stairs and convinced myself it was a big tree smacking the house. It wasn't smacking, yeah. Oh man, that's like, when you're that young, I think it's a lot scarier. But one of my earliest ones, I think I was 9, wasn't supposed to play with a Ouija board. I snuck behind one of the couches at my grandparents' house down in Cape Cod and was playing a Ouija board, and I could have sworn the planchette shot off the board. I ran crying to my parents. Did the planchette really shoot off the board, or was it my 9-year-old imagination and I just like hit it weird and it slid away? But who knows? I freaked out, and I remember crying to my parents and my grandparents that the house is haunted. So that was one of my first experiences. Not supposed to play with the Ouija board. I was told not to. There were no trees that big near the house. Yeah, so you had an experience real young. That happens to a lot of people, especially the people in the paranormal field. I feel like even a lot of the debunkers were people that had an experience and then started debunking, because a lot of this stuff on YouTube is kind of ridiculous. Like you'll see a person in an actual mask run through a field or something. It gets ridiculous. I'm looking for the real experiences. Octopus with no friends. My first paranormal experience was when I was probably 5. I saw full blown ghost see through, floating, creepy, hollow eyes. Ragged white. You saw a classic white sheet ghost. That traumatized me straight out of seeing anything like that until I was an adult. Yeah, it can be very traumatizing. I didn't get traumatized. I mean, I had some nightmares. I think the weirdest one was when I was like, yeah, I was like 16 when we saw the UFO. Um, the orange ball UFO up in Maine. I, for weeks after, I would have the same dream of looking down on the beach and waving at my friends. When we saw the UFO, I started waving at it because I was like, "That's cool. What, wave at it? It's a UFO." And I'm goofy, so I thought it was funny. For a few weeks after that, I was dreaming of being in the spot of the orb, looking down, waving at my friends. So that always freaked me out. And I believe the next year after that experience, I did have an NDE. I fell off a car, and near death experience, out of body experience, the whole deal, where I could see myself bleeding on the ground. My friend Wayne, my friend Chesco. I fell off a car, like flew 60 feet, landed on my head. Um, Med flight into Boston on the helicopter and everything. And then I woke up and I was fine the next day. Doctors said we don't know how he's just fine. He's okay. The lump on his head's pretty much gone. And I could go home. I was okay. But I did lose like a week of memory from that. But I do remember seeing myself laying on the ground. I remember waking up in the helicopter. I remember the other place, which was like just a void with some lights in the distance, and like to be feeling okay and happy and like you are going to be okay, something telling me I'm going to be okay. Then I thought I felt something pull me back, and I was awake. Pull me out of like the weird area. I don't know where I was. But that also probably sparked me to believe in an afterlife and spirits a little bit more because I had a near death experience and out of body experiences. And I think even before that happened to me, I had a couple times out of body experiences just by going to sleep and not really realizing what that was when I was young until I've gotten older. It still happens once in a while. Sometimes I don't even like it to happen. I don't like the out of body experience. If I'm not trying to, sometimes it just happens randomly. Let's see. My first, I was 6, and I saw this tiny form blob thing when my cousins locked me in a closet. I was the youngest. They were both bullies. I freaked the fuck out and started pounding on the door. That's crazy. That's like really mean though. And you saw something in the closet. Oh no. I'm sorry, Spectral. In my bedroom, this is Pinky Arts and Music. In my bedroom, the child there was something that I tapped on the wall every night. And it would let it go away, and then it'd go away, and it would happen maybe once a week. Oh, so have you ever tried tapping back and see if you can get it to do 1, 2, 3? Try communicating. If you're, yeah, if you're a little kid, you're not gonna try that. So, V Team Paranormal, hello. I'm sorry if I missed you coming in. I'm trying to read the chat as best I can. I'm not great at it. Yeah, I like hearing all these stories. This is awesome. Thank you all for coming in. Because, I don't know, it seems like the right one to go with for my first chat back in 2026. We are back live. Let's talk some paranormal. I mean, I've had so many things happen, even just this past year. Still, I think me and Spectral Whispers there got when an object moves that K2 slid 2 inches from that rocking chair. Started here and went back like 2 inches. Didn't even fall over. It kind of even lit up. You can hear it on camera, but I didn't catch it moving on camera, which kind of sucks. But I saw it move, and nobody was touching it. There was no way it was wind. It was under her chair leg of the rocking chair, and between a concrete pad, so it shouldn't have moved. So that one was probably one of my best captures. The footsteps and maybe the shadows on the beach was a weird one. Will be spit ghost. All right, Mystic Meemaw, thanks for coming. I got a weird question for you. Have you ever woken up and felt like you were taught a whole bunch of lessons overnight, like in the astral classroom? Yeah. Um, well, after a few nights of doing research, maybe even for like a conspiracy theory or like one of the UFO legends or looking up stuff, and then you go to bed and you wake up and you got all these weird ideas of how things might connect, like Antarctica, the pyramids, and all these weird things connect. And I definitely have been taking a bit of a break from like paranormal and investigating right now. I definitely needed it because now when I go back and investigate it, I kind of am going back with a bit of fresh eyes. I think it's only been like 2 months since I've been out on an investigation, but I still do keep my eye out every night here at the house because I've had weird things happen here at the house. Um, and I haven't really been watching out at the skies. I probably should just to see if I see any weird lights again, but any UFO, any UAP out there. There's usually a bunch of helicopters have been going by lately and stuff. And it's just freezing out to be able to go sky watch. And you too, Mystic Meemaw, take care. I think it might be astral travel, meeting higher selves, alien lessons. It's sounds crazy, right? But I mean, I believe in remote viewing. I believe that you can have out of body experiences. Um, there are things that happen. There's even experiments that I've looked into, like Kezarov mirror experiment. That's a crazy one, where even the people setting it up and trying it for the first time didn't even want to go near the thing, getting so freaked out, just causing like hallucinogenic and like terrifying images and stuff like that. But some people did start to be able to use it and sit inside of it. It's just a coiled mirror, but can cause major effects on people, just like radio and EMF and different wavelengths, and things can affect people in weird ways. Hey, Ghostess Paranormal, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Hey, Dave. Yeah, I've watched a few of your videos lately. It's been a while. Just chatting paranormal, talking about what's happened this past year, and how only out of like probably 100 videos or something I did, only like 2 or 3 things that I can really say might have been paranormal. Even then, I could kind of probably debunk them. But footsteps at Fort Monroe. If you check out Disembodied Footsteps at Fort Monroe, still can't explain that one. Even the shadows on the beach. I think the Pearl French rocking chair cemetery investigation with Spectral Whispers was one of the best. Just having that K2 slide backwards when it was stuck in there was an amazing thing. Even when I watched it, I was like, whoa, that thing just freaking moved. I got all my equipment ready to go. I just haven't been out in a while. Too cold for me, man. It's like 10 tonight. These are the things I really would like to get to go off. Manually controlled little, or the bell. If something like that happens, then I'm going to be very happy. That's poltergeist activity, and something like that. You really can't deny that that's a paranormal encounter. Pinky Arts and Music, just saying hi to everybody. I'm enjoying hearing about people's experiences. Me too. It's great to have people come in and tell me their stories. I think I like that just as much as some of the stories that I have. Um, I'll tell a funny one. This one was a Maine one. Me and my friend Josh, my sister Nikki, decided, I think his little brother Tyler too, all to go to this old abandoned house. And it was called the Lighthouse, but it was not a lighthouse. It's just a house out in the middle of the woods. It had a light bulb in the side window for like 100 years, and it's always stayed lit. So it was like one of those Edison bulbs with the thick filament, and it stayed lit for years and years. The light was always on inside this little abandoned house. So we went in there, and it seemed like a hoarder's house, like somebody actually might have been in there. We heard noises in the basement, probably raccoons or, possum or whatever, squirrels. We all freaked out. My friend Josh ran and kicks the extension cord to the light bulb and breaks the light. We hear a bunch of noise in the basement, and then we all just bail and jump out of this abandoned house and run. But he destroyed the legend of the everlasting light bulb in the haunted abandoned house. I was like, dude, you kicked over the 100-year light bulb. What are you, crazy? That was one of the times I had a lot of fun going into an abandoned place. Another time I did get my wrist crushed. We went to an old mill, an abandoned mill up in Maine, and my friend Josh brought me in there, and the mill had a trap door that you could go underneath and see some of the gears and like where the old water mill was. And the trap door slammed shut as I was crawling in and like smashed my wrist. I still say that shouldn't have slammed shut, that something slammed it on my wrist, because I was like, there's no way that should have slammed shut like that. But probably just slammed shut on my wrist. I was a kid. I was probably 15, 14, 15. Yeah, so I don't know if I've told all my paranormal stories. The shadow figure I did see at Fort Monroe here in Virginia did run across a rampart up on top of one of the walls. I didn't catch it on camera. I was doing a live chat, and there was tree branches in the way. But I saw it run across, and it would have fallen off like if it was a regular person running by on top of this building. It would have fallen like 35 feet off the edge of this building. This thing just went to the edge and disappeared off the edge and was gone. Full on black figure, looked like somebody running by. Now that's a huge story, even back in the day when the fort was still in operation. Way back, even Civil War and stuff like that. The men used to say the whole place was haunted and see shadow figures running up on the walls and the ramparts. And another story is you'll hear phantom dog barking because there's a mile long pet cemetery of all the war dogs on top of that place. It's a ton of stories to that place. I gotta get back there even if it is freezing. I really don't want to freeze my butt off though. But, Ghostus, you got a ghost story you had an experience? Let me know. Anybody else got a good one? I think some of my favorite ones were me and my sister experiencing things together, like hearing my grandmother say something. Hold on one sec, I'll be right back. Oh, I left that. All right, sorry, I just was checking somebody banging on the door. And I needed more drink. Well, I think some of my favorite ones were the ones I was talking about with experiencing stuff with my sister, hearing my grandmother, and we both thinking it's my mom upstairs, but then we go look and my mom's pulling in the driveway, and we both heard my grandmother, we believe. That was a shocking one. Another one, um, probably one of my favorites, going in and just straight up hearing, "Go away." I was walking through the woods. This one is disembodied voice in my ear. I even acknowledged it at the time and thought it's a dog bark in the distance. It wasn't. It did seem like right here, but wanted just to be, okay, whatever. It's a dog bark in the distance. I kind of brushed it off. But going back over the video, I think that was 6 years, 5, 6 years ago now. Disembodied voice, Bridgewater Triangle. I still cannot explain that one. A lot of people say pareidolia. Maybe it was me clearing my throat or something. It's not. It definitely sounds like a girl. I don't know. There's some things in, especially doing it for so long. I think the only way to really capture any of this, no equipment, not on the spirit box, not on the obvious, not on any REM pod or crazy light up situation, is maybe if you had someone with you too. I should have Alicia come with me more so that me and her, if we both have the same experience, it's a lot more validating. But some of the fun of it is for me to get scared and go out and do this stuff alone. Like, most of the time I go out and do it alone. Sometimes it's more fun to have someone else there though, to just bounce questions off of and really see, hey, can you actually talk to me, blah blah blah, can you. And I do like the idea that if you can get equipment to interact in some way, but it really has to be specific to the question, especially spirit box stuff. That stuff, I don't think you need to use FM ever, because that's all just radio stations and you'll just hear a bunch of stuff and a whole bunch of words will be said. Apps don't really work. You can get interesting results. I've even had really interesting stuff with the apps where I think last Halloween I was doing makeup for a live and it said eyeshadow and I had been blacking out my eyes. And I was like, all right, that's interesting. It has to do with what I'm doing. And you know, but then I probably was talking about my eyes and saying I, and that word bank just spits out whatever it wants. And I don't really have too many ideas for better equipment. There was one, uh, a Thedric camera, or I forget the name of it, but it's basically an aura camera. So they have this camera set up, and you go sit in front of it. I think you might even have to like put wires on your fingers, but it will take a picture of a person's aura. So I was thinking if we could set one of those up in a haunted area, especially the ghost on the staircase or something, or the lady in white in front of the lighthouse. Set one of those up for hours or as long as you can, and just see if you can capture any auras going by, because that would mean the spirit of a person. You're capturing that, or maybe even a dead animal. I have seen shadow cat. That's what me and Alicia used to call it. I haven't seen him in a while, but every once in a while, for a couple years, we would see a shadow of, like, look like a small shadow of a cat jump around in our room or run under a bed. Um, yeah, she saw that with me. Shadow cat, right?
Quite a few times.
Quite a few times. Hi, hon. Are you having fun? Do you want me to stop this so I can play with the baby? So, I don't know if I should do another like investigation here. I don't think I really want to. Just have kids here and stuff, and I'd rather not stir anything up if I don't have to. I've done enough in this house where I know that some things do happen. Uh, since my mom's passed away, I do keep finding dimes, and we used to find dimes all the time. And it would always be like randomly, you'd be standing there, no dime, and then all of a sudden you'd see a dime at your foot. And it's just one of those things. We talked about it for, like, me and Nikki. That would happen with our grandmother, and I think that my mom's doing that now. So it's just a hopeful thing, and it's kind of nice. And I have my mom right over there, so I should bring her with me in travels on some.
She was at Jim Morrison's grave?
Yeah, my cousin Brad actually took my mom's ashes to Jim Morrison's grave, which, where is that, Paris? Paris, yeah, France. So that's pretty cool. Dimes are a frequent sign. Yeah, and we always thought it was funny when we used to find them, because my grandmother, we would say, "Yeah, that's Grammy." You end up with a dime like on your foot. So those are kind of fun little things that I've always kind of believed in. So my last video that I just put up of the orb going by, I do think it was an odd light, because you could see my flashlight, and it's not like a reflection of the direction I'm moving my flashlight. It just zooms across. It's kind of hard to see, and it's an orb. So a lot of the paranormal community are like, it's just dust or a light beam. I still think it's odd, because that's one of the reports for that legendary spot for Pearl French rocking chair up in the Bridgewater Triangle. Uh, that's been reported for years. I would go back to that one, especially since the K2 moved backwards under the rocking chair. Probably one of my favorite investigations this past year.
You gotta go back to the witching tree.
Yeah, we're definitely going to go back to the witching tree. Hopefully no giant crazy storm pops up when we get there. I think we got 20 minutes at max, me and Spectral Whispers there. B was like, yeah, I'm getting the fuck back in the car. I, so I do want to investigate, but probably not for a bit. If it's a warm night, I might go for a walk. If it's warm enough. I think tonight was like 10 degrees, or it's like 20 and it feels like 10. So I probably could have gone out investigating the other night. Just hadn't feel like it. It's just cold and crappy, and It'll be the right time. I want my first investigation for this year to be a good spot and not freeze my butt off. It won't be warm anytime soon, especially near you. You guys got what, like 2 feet of snow? I probably would. I'd build an igloo and do an investigation in the igloo if I had that much snow. Yeah, more next weekend. I think we're gonna get some snow, and we had like an inch. The kids even got school off on this past Monday, and I was like, "Why? A little bit of ice." I get it though, school buses and stuff. Yeah, it's the cold and freezing. The wind around here, because where I am, I definitely don't want to go walk on the beach, which is one of the haunted locations that I should go to. But I am like looking. Last night I was up for a long time, and I looked through some museums. A lot of them are free and from the 1800s, and stories of people passing away in the house, and people reports, footsteps up the stairs. So maybe I could, go to a museum, hang out for like an hour, and if there's not too many people around, just do like a secret investigation while walking around. Walked into work this morning to a flood. Oh, that sucks.
Who's that?
Spectral whispers. Just walked into a flood
Oh, which
because of the
one?
snow. Which job? Alicia asked. TMS. So the new one.
That sucks.
A flood and freezing snow weather, like 2 feet of snow. That sucks. Oh man. Yeah, that's terrible. Hopefully it don't freeze. You gotta, you gotta get a sub pump. You gotta get something to clear that out. Call the freaking plumber. So, I think one of the other times up near Spectre Whispers.
How are they doing?
What?
How is she doing because of the garage? Usually when it's really cold, you gotta wear it out the garage.
Oh, I don't know. When I left, they had soaked up most of the puddles. Oh, that's good. So just squishy rug, not full on flood. But actually, one of the crazier things I've seen was actually, yeah, I think it was near Spectral Whisper's house. Me and my friend Harry went out, and we were asking a bunch of questions near the Taunton River. We had walked all these back trails. There's an old foundation near her house. And we were asking questions, and I think he even asked, it wasn't even me, if you could splash the water. And while we were standing there, a huge splash happened in the water. And we were both like, oh, no way, dude. That had to be like a beaver or something fell in the water. A rock rolled off the ledge and fell in the water. But it was so coincidental. And that old foundation near her house is like, I'd say 1800s. Tried to do an investigation there, didn't get anything. I think twice I've gone there, and there's just no activity, but creepy old foundation out in the woods, Bridgewater Triangle. So, fun spot to go to. Right near there is an old Native American trail, horse trail, buggy trail, whatever you want to call it, and right along the river, that has legends of Native American ghosts, Revolutionary War guys, or ghost soldiers and stuff like that, settlers, and hearing horses walking up the path when no horses are coming. Stuff like that's really cool. I've never heard the horse walking up the path. We did get, yeah, me and B, Spectre Whispers, where was that? Near the Rainham dog track on the old abandoned railroad track. The story of the man with the lantern, the railroad worker who got his head cut off by getting run over by a train with a lantern, still walks the tracks. One time we walked as far as we could down this abandoned railroad track, uh, near this like crossroads, abandoned railroad. Walking like mile. We decided we're gonna turn around. It's too far. We're gonna go back. And while we're walking, I'm just filming ahead of me. You could see this lantern light up ahead on the path, and it happens 4 or 5 times. You can see this light. Now, that's an old legend of seeing the railroad worker walking with his lantern at night. And at the time, we're just going, no, that's got to be where our base camp is back at the crossroads. We were still like a half mile from that. There's no way we saw any light from our like where our chairs were set up or anything. It took us like another 10 minutes to walk back. So there's random spook lights. That was not my first spook light. I've seen blue spook lights when I was a kid in my parents' backyard going through. And the legend was you never follow a spook light into the woods because it could be one of the Pugwudgie tricksters trying to get you to follow it so that you could get lost, fall off a ledge, tricksters, little gremlin like creatures, the Pugwudgies. Um, oh, Spectral, she was asking how you guys are doing with all the snow and stuff. The trouble, you get the garage open and everything, your
No,
cars were
not open, just freezing.
just freezing in your garage. I do wonder what used to be there where that foundation is. Is that what you're talking about? Because that was probably an old house. There was a well next to it. So it must have been like a cabin of something. I'm guessing even maybe part of a farm or something in the woods. It must have been because that's a rock foundation with old, not even like cast iron pipes, like iron pipes. So 1700s, real old like settler freaking stuff. If that's what you're talking about, the foundation in the woods near your house, Spectral. I do love that spot, but I've had no luck whenever I've gone and investigated that. Up the path a little bit and you'll get some activity. So I do think next I'll do a few more reviews of past videos. I want to review the Pearl French rocking chair video and go through the whole thing and see if we captured anything that I missed when I reviewed it the first time and just film it so that I can see if I capture anything. All is well, no freezing inside. This is your sister. Outside, we have aviary in the backyard because there were only ones in the neighborhood feeding the birds. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, so you were talking about the foundation, I figured. Because that is a really cool old foundation. Say hello. You get me some more of this.
I suppose so.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, I'm thinking next couple videos I might do another conspiracy theory. I'm thinking maybe I'm not sure what conspiracy yet. I haven't even thought about it. There's so many I could go into. Excuse me. I don't know if I want it to be UFO or anything, but ugh. Anybody else have another story they would like to tell before I get out of here? I could tell another one that, let's see, one that me and my friend, uh, this was, so I don't know if I can explain exactly where that is, so I'll just talk about the 38 Native American burial ground. There is a mound near my parents' house up in Massachusetts in Bridgewater Triangle. Now, behind that is my friend Dave's house, and Davey used to have an old shed. What we didn't know when we were kids was this old shack out behind his house was actually a poor farm lockup. where they would take people that were like poor back when, 16, 1700s, and lock up the poor folk or people that worked at the poor farms and lock them in this shed. We would hang out in there sometimes like a little fort, and me and him sitting there, both as we're sitting there, all the shovels and brooms and stuff flew down and started hitting, like almost hitting us, and we ran. Years later, I didn't know about any of this. Learning about 1786 house and the Native American burial mound and the poor lockup farm, right there is also a marker for the devil's footprints, and some supposedly the devil chased this wizard Nathan Seeley through the woods and left footprints in the swamps. So this story goes all the way around into one big craziness of a paranormal like happening in Bridgewater Triangle within all the other stuff that happens. Never mind just creatures and ghost stories and even UFOs in the Bridgewater Triangle. This one involved the Native American burial mound, the poor lockup, and the farmhouse that had the poor people that would work for the farm. Um, that was a crazy one to learn that that's still standing in his backyard. That's still there today. It was like a little jailhouse for the poor folks, and that was like, no wonder we had a weird experience. I think we were like 12, 13, and he swore he would never go in there again. He actually said he saw like shadow figures in his backyard before. Hi, babe.
Hi.
But I really do want to thank all of you for coming in. Had a lot of people come in and tell their experiences. Not right now. It'd take a long time. If you want to, you can just give me a little bit. Not right now. All right. Well, your sister said, "Hi, beautiful."
Hi.
Some of this stuff I will be back to real soon. I'm investigating normally again and stuff. It's just weather, really. If I get a warm night, I'm definitely going outside and I'll do some sky watching. And I think I'll do, a small investigation. Probably not far from the house. It would probably just be at the beach or maybe Fort Monroe if I can get over there. It's not too far from my house, but still my favorite location, and I don't have to really like pay for it. It's just a place you can go and walk around if you want to. Um, One of these days, I will have to get back to Mass and go with Spectral again. I want to go to, I forget what was the house, the Hayden, Hayden Mansion. I can't remember. I'll go back up. There's a couple other places I would love to investigate up there too. I would like to get to Lizzie Borden's house again, and then there's a couple of hotels that are supposedly really haunted near Salem. Um, the Witching Tree, probably the biggest one I want to get back to. I think that's Halifax or something. Um, right on the outskirts of the Bridgewater Triangle. Now, another thing was the Bridgewater Triangle seems to be spreading out because I used to work New Bedford, Fall River at the old mills, and people would tell stories of these old mill workers that passed away at the mill, 1800s, working underground. You're pulling wires through like tunnels and shit. Guys would actually say, "I'll quit the job. I'm not going back down there. I saw something." Something pulled back on the wire or something. Going like a half mile, these long old mill buildings. I've had weird experiences where you hear something like it's crawling. Could just be an animal, but I didn't get freaked out as much, so I would be willing to go through the tunnels all the time. One of the times I did see like full shadow of what I thought was another worker, and then it was just gone, and I was like, "Hello," and like went over towards it, nothing around. That really freaked me out, but at the same time, with all the other guys saying they wouldn't go down there, I was like, whatever, I'll do it. It's not a big deal to me. I'm used to it. I've had weirder stuff. Yeah, Houghton Mansion. I really want to get to that one. And I really wish they had the Oliver House still open. I don't think they allow you to go in there anymore. I'd still go walk around the building and do that again. Maybe bring some equipment this time and do an investigation around the Oliver Mill. That's definitely got some history. Definitely what they weren't expecting. I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago they found out that there's Native American burial mounds in the back and along the driveway. There's mounds. So, very haunted area. Sometimes I have dreams about things the next day or week. Things happen from in the dream. Yeah, I've definitely had that happen before. Dream about something the next day. Oh look, we did. We got a flat tire. I had that happen not too long ago. Dreamed we're probably gonna have a flat tire, and yeah, small things like that are very interesting. Apparently, the boarding house is very expensive these days. I don't know. I've worked right next to Lizzie Borden's house. I even, yeah, for like 4 or 5 days, I was working on a house right near there. We went past it a bunch. I wanted to go in there, but Pinky dream about me being incredibly wealthy. I believe in you, Leanne. Laura, Lauren Coleman called the triangle more like a trapezoid. Oh, hi, baby. Yeah. What's on your forehead? Say hello to Eric, everybody. Is that you? You got crumbs on your forehead. It's spitting image. My mini me. I got two of them now. I wish that would happen. Clap your hands. I wish. I wish. Hi, baby. Everybody's saying hello, Eric. Oh, okay, bye. Auntie's little baby boy's getting teeth. You gotta watch it. He will bite. But yeah, coming up more whatever. I don't know exactly what I'm doing yet. I never really planned it out that well, but I will be doing more investigating soon somewhere. And it might not be indoors. I'll have to ask permission if I do go to one of the museums. Maybe if I paid something, they would let me do it at night, which would be amazing. But I'm sure a lot of them close at night. Maybe if I talk to one of the people that curate one of these smaller museums from the 1800s, I could do that. Another one would be the biggest one I would probably ever do would be the USS Wisconsin. Is a big old battleship that even when we just went for a tour on it, me and Riley walking through the belly of this big battleship here, right on a wall as we're walking through. I'm like, all right, buddy, let's just go. He's like, who's knocking? Where's that coming from? There's nobody around. He was kind of like, wow, that was weird, and I was like, yeah, it's nothing. Let's just go. Not trying to freak out a. I think he was like 5 at the time, a 5-year old. But the small things like that. Keep your eyes out. Keep them peeled. Keep your ears peeled. You never know when something's going to happen. The paranormal is out there. You can capture it on camera. Um, I'd try and stay away from most of the equipment. Sometimes it can help a bit. It gets interesting once in a while if it can be repeated, like you ask a question and only when you're asking questions does it react. Then it gets interesting. But I hope you guys had fun. I'll be back with more live chats. Really, thank you for all the stories. I appreciate everybody that comes and watches this channel. You guys, all the new subscribers, everybody that's subscribed forever. all the support from mods and my lovely fiance letting me do this. Spectral Whispers, love you guys, love you, Nikki and Dad, everybody. Tell Dad I love him. No, no longer his baby tub. He's a big boy tubby now. Yeah, 10 months, almost 11 months. He's gonna be a year soon. Oh my God, good song. Help me. All right, you guys. Have a good night. I'll be back with more. Peace out. Have a great one. Thanks for coming.